we talked about it on the show before about police officers being just as human as most people. One of the most humanizing experiences that I've had in my short career. September will be 7 years for me. But one of the most humanizing moments in my career is when I went to a homicide scene and it was somebody I knew. Not only was it somebody I knew, but it was a relative. And not only was it a relative, it was my younger cousin. I go to, the homicide comes out, stabbing on Holton Street. It was kind of a slow night. Didn't really have anything else to do. So I think officers probably had been on the scene for probably near 30 minutes before I even decided, you know what, I'm going to go over there because I ain't got nothing else to do. No calls being dispatched for me to go to. There wasn't a lot of proactivity to be done. So I drive over there. Get over there. It's multiple officers on scene. It's a pretty, intense crowd. They were more intense before I got there, but they had calmed down. So I'm probably on scene for maybe 10, 15 minutes. And I walk to one side of the tape. And the tape is what we use to separate the crime scene from pedestrian traffic. While I'm over at that side of the tape, a guy I went to high school with, he said, you know who that is, right? I say, nah, who is it? He say, that's such and such. I say, who? He say, such and such. I'm not going to put names in it. And I'm like, nah. And at that moment when he told me, I couldn't believe it.
Yeah, it don't
hit you that fast. Yeah. It don't hit you that fast.
Take a little while for it to set.
Take a little second. And not that I've experienced this as a police officer before, but so I paced back and forth for a little minute, and it just so happened that our captain was on scene, and I let him know, hey man, this apparently or allegedly the victim is my second cousin. Okay. I say, you mind if I walk over there and verify that it is him? He cool with it. I walk over there. Got screens around the body. I look over the screen. It's him. It only took me 2 seconds. 2 seconds and I'm out because I can't bear to stand there for more than that to see my cousin laying on the ground. Now, mind you, this is a distant cousin. Second cousin, but a distant cousin. Still way closer to his mama than I am him because he was raised in California. So even when I saw him laying there with the blood, man, I believe his eyes were open. It still was surreal. It still didn't feel like it was something that was just real. It just didn't feel real. So I continued to pace back and forth. Called my mama. She called my other cousin. And that cousin called my other cousin, which was his mother. And that's how she was informed. You talking about humanizing me? I've always been an officer who believed that we should show our human side.
Right.
We shouldn't hide behind a uniform or try to disguise ourselves behind a uniform and a badge. Because at the end of the day, the decisions that we make out here, they're not like superhero decisions. We're making decisions that we would hope and pray that most people would make. We're going to make mistakes too. Right. That in itself is humanizing.
Yeah, people just think they'll be robots. It's like we get on scene, we want who, what, when, where, why, how, why.
Right.
Here's a case I'm going to buy. Like, it don't happen like that.
No, it don't happen like that.
Because a lot of times when we go to scenes, like, we've been through that before.
Yep.
So we can sympathize, empathize with that person. But
right.
Like you said, so what's going through your mind? Like, when you pacing back and forth?
Guilt.
You're trying to feel like...
I ain't gonna lie, it was some guilt because as many times as I saw my cousin walk in the street as a police officer, because I worked the side of town that he lived on, as many times as I saw him, it was mostly like, what's up, cuz? How you doing? And that was it. There were so many opportunities for us to become so much closer. Even while I'm at work. Because I do community policing all the time. I might not initiate it. I might not document it as community policing, but I'm always in Hollyfield.
Right.
I'm always in South City getting out my car.
See, it's those things that people don't see all the time.
Right. But I never actually did that with my cousin enough for me to feel satisfied after his death. So you feel like you had too many missed opportunities to get to know your distant cousin. He was my cousin, but I feel like I didn't get to know him enough. And now he gone and I'll never get to know him. So that's really what was running through my head, the guilt. So on top of that, what else comes with the guilt is, why don't I feel a specific way your relative just died. Not only did he die, he was just murdered. So why don't I feel what most people feel when a relative dies? Because most people, let's go to the funeral. There's tears. There's plenty moments of sadness, overwhelming sadness, but I didn't feel that.
Why then? Why not me?
Right.
A lot.
And and there's a simple common sense explanation for it, because I didn't know my cousin.
Right.
We just didn't know each other like that. We knew we was cousins, but we didn't know each other like that. So naturally, you're not going to feel that overwhelming sadness that most people feel. Right. You're not going to feel that overwhelming sadness that his mother feels, that his father feels, that the cousins that he was close to feel. So there was a high level of guilt. That's how I felt, Yeah,
man, death is never easy.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people don't know, like, at our agency, if you're in special victims, homicide, TAC team, traffic homicide, they require us to go and see a doctor every so often to make sure that you're right. Because you see this stuff all the time, and like it gets numb to you. A lot of people say, like, why are y'all laughing and stuff on scene? I think it's more prevalent now that we have to watch our actions and stuff because there's cameras everywhere.
Right.
But it's that we're just so used to it.
Right.
And then we're thinking about everything else. But when someone sees you laughing, they're saying, "Oh, you don't think that this situation is serious." But they don't know the conversation that we actually have. And I think I saw a clip by that in Chicago. They were saying, like, "Look, they don't care anything about us. They're over there laughing." They went over there and officers laughed. We don't know what they were talking about. Right. But it's just like you have to put yourself in the shoes of the family that's over there right now.
Right.
It's never been, every time, all the dead bodies you've seen combined in our career, I mean, it's never easy. But then I think just for that one there, like, that's family hasn't happened to me, but a teammate that I played football with at college, I wasn't on the scene, but I had to deal with being on a tag team, going inside the house or whatever, and then you just finding his clothes and stuff that were kind of taking a robbery or whatnot, and then seeing his ID and the blood and stuff, and that's when it kind of set in, like, dang, man, he's like really gone.
So was this his house?
No, this was the suspects that went to this house afterwards. They murdered him at another location over in town, and I think some kind of way they found the vehicle or whatever, and he was over there. But we had to go in the house, and when you look at everything, when you see his ID, it's like, dang,
right.
Like, that's really him. First of all, I'm like, dang, I didn't even know he was still here in town.
Right.
Because we were cool.
Right.
But, man, that's probably I haven't had it that close like you did with family, and I pray that I don't. But, I mean, that's probably
I was going to have it that close.
Yeah, I mean, you just...
I mean, because you spoke about seeing dead bodies as police officers. You see a lot of dead bodies.
A lot.
I mean, you don't see them every day, but the numbers start to pile up in a 25, 30-year career. They start to pile up in a 5 to 7 year career.
They do.
I mean, and how many? Let's talk about something. In your 15 years, you said 15? Your 15 years, can you probably count on one hand how many of those bodies was anything other than black? And we talking about homicides, murders.
Homicides?
Anything other than black, how many? If you had to guess, approximate.
I can't even count one.
You can't even count one. 15 years, you can't count one.
I can't count one homicide other than not being black.
And we're talking about the ones you actually worked, right?
Right.
Because we know that people other than black people have died.
Right.
But in a 15-year career, you'd think a police officer would see something other than a black person who's murdered.
I've seen more in traffic homicide incidents with traffic crashes and whatnot.
Right.
But like just a bona fide like homicide.
Right.
I can't count one that I worked.
That's scary. It's sad, but it's scary, man. It's just absolutely scary.
I mean, that too. Just look at the booking report.
Yeah.
I mean, how many of us do you see on that versus other nationalities?
Are there ever any moments where you feel guilty as a black police officer working these streets and doing the job that you do? Or do you feel a sense of pride? Or is it a little bit of both?
A little bit of both. Like I tell people, I don't pride myself in people that I take to jail.
Yeah.
But it's something that I have to do.
Right.
And we have discretion. So I'll tell people, hey, man, you Be honest with me, whatever. Don't lie to me. Don't run away from me. I'm gonna try everything I can to send you home.
Yeah.
Or try not to have anything on your record because I have that discretion. If you got a felony, all bets off. I can't do nothing about that. I'm bad with names, but I'm good with faces.
Yeah.
So when I arrest someone, I print out their face sheet and I have it in a notebook. And probably maybe 2 weeks ago.
So you keep a notebook of those who you arrest,
right?
Okay.
Because like I'll see them on the street, I'm like, dang, is that so and so? Like, is his license valid? Like, I don't know. You know? So I'm go through my book, or two, like they might put a bulletin out like, hey, does anyone know who this person is? And a lot of times I'm like, that face look familiar. I'll flip through my book. Yeah, that's so and so and so and so.
Now, do you keep this book because you like arresting people?
No, I just keep it just so I can know people because I'm bad with names.
Right.
Numbers, bad with numbers.
Right.
I'm bad with names.
Right.
But faces and situations, like if there's like a certain situation, like a case that kind of like was like really overboard, like I can name you like 5 names off the top of my head right now of those cases that I really had to deal with because that name is like imprinted in your mind. But like people I've arrested before, like I see them, I look, I'm like, I know that person, I know that girl, I know that guy from somewhere, but I just don't know the name.
Put the name on
but I have that notebook, so that notebook isn't a trophy.
That's an extremely smart idea.
It's not a trophy, but I just have, and I taught my recruits and everyone, and I was like, hey man, keep a notebook so you'll know who these people are.
Right, because you're gonna come across these people over and over again. Some of them, right?
And so like all the time,
right?
Tallahassee isn't small whatsoever, and I always tell people you got to treat people with respect,
right?
Because you never know when you're gonna run into them again. There have been people I've arrested before, and they served my food.
Yeah.
And
that happens a lot because we know people who cook at restaurants.
Ton.
You know.
And so like I remember one time I was at a restaurant. It was like I'm not gonna name the restaurant, but it's an open place where you can actually see them fixing your food.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at the guy.
Yeah.
He's like, hey, you remember me? I'm like, no. He said, you arrested me. I'm like,
that's the last thing you want to hear.
I'm like, when? He said, yeah, you arrested me. And so I immediately like,
what was his tone?
It was like, hey man, you remember me? Yeah, you put me in jail. I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
And I immediately like looked down at my food like, yeah, I'm watching. You
was with your wife?
Yeah.
See?
I'm just sitting there, I'm like,
yeah.
Okay, she asked, like, who is? I said, sweetheart. I said, I really don't know.
Yeah.
But one of our former mayors did a ride along with me, and I rode him around, and I got out, and people were like, hey Miller. They call me Miller, Milla. That's my street name, Miller.
Yeah.
Hey Miller, what's going on, Miller? Blah blah. He said, hey man, these people know you. I'm like, they're supposed to know me.
Right.
I said, I don't just ride around all day. I said, when they see me, they don't know what's gonna happen.
Right.
Like when people see you, it shouldn't be, oh shoot, here come Miller, he about to arrest somebody. They don't know what's going on. Like I've gotten out, I just have a conversation with them, and we'll just talk. I say I'm on the parking walk, or even if I put myself out at all.
Right.
This back, like, I'm talking about like cop squad days,
right,
and regular patrol day before VCRT, and like I didn't realize someone recorded me. I'm playing chess with a guy at Robinson's. Really? I'm just chilling, just playing chess with the guy, whatever. And I've arrested him before.
Yeah.
And I told him. He said, "Man, these people really know you." I said, "I'm gonna tell you something. 75% of the people that was just out there, I've arrested before."
Right.
I said, and 2, some of them have actually helped me.
Right.
While I'm trying to arrest somebody else, because they know if Miller got you, he got you. You did something. Right. Like I'm not just gonna take it to jail over some little small kind of stuff with it. Like you did something, and I pride myself. I'm like, I don't need to lie. Lie for what? Like I'm gonna tell the truth. This is what happened. If the outcome, like somebody said the other day, if I arrest somebody, I write my report. They get off on a technicality or something like that, or they got a good lawyer, whatever. Yeah. I've done my job. You can't take it personally.
Right.
You've done your job.
Right.
But at the end of the day, you got to treat that person with respect because they know, like, there's people out there. That's one guy. He's murdered somebody before.
Yeah.
And he said, you know what, man, Miller? I tell people, man, if you got it, man, you got it. You got a good eye, man. You pretty good, man. You pretty cool. And like, I just treat them with respect. You never know when you're gonna come across someone. And that's just, I go back to my upbringing. My mom and dad have always treated people with respect. Mm-hmm. Now my mom might be kind of harsh or whatever, but in the end, she still loves you, whatever. Right. And my mom's the type of person, her forgiveness is buying you something.
Really?
Yeah, she'll buy you something.
Yeah.
Like she just sit home all day and she just watch stuff, and for whatever reason she have stuff in the trunk, and I'm like, where'd you get this from? She said, get this to so and so. That's her way of saying. Right. I don't know what it is. She just don't like saying I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Is it?
Let me get you some.
There you go. So it's just, and I tell people, like my mom, like, if she didn't care, she wouldn't talk to you. Mm-hmm. She's the type of person. But going back to respect, man, that goes a long that goes a long, long, long way.
Does every single person you come in contact with deserve respect?
Got to. Even if they give it to you bad, like a guy last night, I know my rights, this and other, blah, 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 cussing and fussing, blah, blah, blah. And then at the end, we're on our way to jail. Man, I really appreciate, man, what y'all did. Blah, 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 blah. Even though he was acting, he really wasn't all responsive to us in the beginning, whatever, or respectful, but we showed that respect.
But
and he
let me ask you
noticed
this,
that.
because I agree with you. But why does every single person deserve respect? Why is it important that we as police officers, or people in general, why does everybody deserve respect?
That is the only way you're going to be able to survive.
Speak on it.
Period. Back in the day, if you had an argument with somebody, you talking about like way, way back in the day.
Yeah.
Get the boxing gloves, get in the ring, y'all fight. It's over with. You're done.
That's respect.
Right?
Yep.
Now, you stuck to my Jordans, bro.
Right. Right.
Like, there's no respect for a person. There's no respect for life.
Yeah.
I keep going back. The shooting yesterday, it happened 20 feet away from an officer.
Multiple officers already on scene.
I'm talking about, it's like 6 officers within 50 yards of where this happened.
Yeah.
Normal person, okay, yeah, man, cops, right? I mean, not do that, but it just show you like no one has respect for each other in life.
Yeah.
Like right now, somebody said we're fighting about mask. We're fighting about mask.
Right.
Vaccine, that's your own personal decision, right? But we're fighting about mask, politics, and everything else. But we all supposed to be the greatest country in the world. But we're fighting over. Some people would say small. Yeah. I'm like, come on, man.
So that shows how little we are.
But I mean, you just gotta basically you have to learn how to agree to disagree. Mm-hmm. That's all it comes down to.
That's an art. That's an art that a lot of people haven't perfected. Most people probably haven't perfected.
They just don't have that, man.
Yeah, I mean, you talked about your mom teaching you how to respect somebody or how to respect people. That's deep, man, because it shows how powerful upbringing is. It shows how important parents are. You a parent of 2 young kids. You know what I'm saying? If you chose to be lackluster as a father and not instill in your kids the power of respect, the nobility behind that, they're gonna grow up and reflect and be reflective of that.
Exactly. There was what was that officer's name? He retired, but we had arrested somebody. He brought a guy in. He walked in. He's like, "Hey, you messing up? I arrested your granddaddy, boy.
Yeah,
and your daddy." I'm like, did y'all hear what he just said? That's generations, man.
Right.
His granddaddy, his daddy, and him all doing the same exact thing.
So when no change,
you got to change the cycle some kind of way. Now, granted, some people say, you know what, I don't want to be like my dad, what they did, whatever, but they just take right after that. So a lot of times, look at when you look them up in CJs or whatever, trying to look up their name, you see there, okay, hey, which one is it, senior or junior?
Yeah.
And you look at senior charges, and you look at junior charges.
That always made me laugh, not in a happy way, but when I see junior, senior, and we sitting there as officers getting mixed up, like who are we dealing with?
Yeah, is it 67 or is it 92 or is it 93 or is it 2000, whenever when they were born? And it's sad. Like you look at it like, man, that is sad. And going back to my book, I'm thumbing through the book, I'm looking through it, I'm like,
got both of them in there. All 3
that,
of them in
and then 2, you're like, how many black people have I really arrested over these years?
And the thing is, if somebody from the outside was looking, a non-police officer was looking in your book and didn't know anything about you, the automatic assumption would be he just like arresting black people. I don't care because you're a black officer, they're going to assume that you just like arresting black people.
I tell people, look at the PC. Yeah. And now that we have cameras, like back and I used to beg for a camera in my car. Because like the stuff I got into, I'm like, people just will not believe. Like, defense attorney, you mean to tell me that my client gave you the crack cocaine? I'm like, yeah. Like, hey man, you got anything on? Yeah, I got some cocaine right here.
Right.
Put your hands behind your back, you're on the arrest. It happened just that quick.
Right.
But I mean, that's why I think like integrity comes into it. Like if in our profession, if you lie, like, hey, did you steal that pen? No, I ain't take that pen. And you lie about it. What else have you lied about?
Right, and that's just a pen.
Yeah, like that deputy. They got called for planting evidence, whatever.
Rural County,
think about it, they got to let all them people. They had to let all those people go. I said, even if some of those people were guilty,
right, they had to let them go.
I mean, it's just you shot. And in my opinion, I tell people, I feel like getting fired as a police officer because we're given all this responsibility. You're given all this weaponry to defend yourself and other people. If you get fired as a police officer, in my opinion, that is equivalent to getting a dishonorable discharge from the military.
Yeah,
who is going to hire you?
Right.
Nobody in their right mind. I'm like, I'm 39. Football is done.
Yeah.
Like, and I sit back and think, like, what else could I really do?
Yeah.
Right now, if I was not a police officer.
I mean, the thing about being a police officer and getting fired, you only, for the most part, you either done had too many crashes or you lied.
Pretty much.
I mean, you know what I'm saying?
I tell you, if you get fired as an officer, you did something.
Especially in this time when we need bodies. If they fire you as a police officer, that means you really needed to be fired.
I tell my recruits, I was like, hey, do your job.
Yeah.
Go home.
Yeah.
Take your uniform off. I remember back in the day, like, man, this is awesome, man. Being a call, like, why would somebody call in sick? I ain't taking no days off.
Right,
I'm at work every day. Boom, 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 boom. Time goes on. Man, I need a break, man. I need a breather. I just need to take off this day. I want to do this, I want to do that. And it's just like you get overwhelmed with a lot of things. And I think the one good thing that too we have is like if you want to get hired with us, you got to do a ride along.
Yeah.
Because I have people that see stuff on TV. Yeah, I want to do that. And you get out there and you're like, yeah, this ain't what I expect. It's real out there.
Right.
You know, you got to learn how to talk to people, and they're not always gonna do what you got to do, what you tell them to do. Just because you got a badge on, that don't mean nothing. Like if they don't respect you as a person, I mean, they can look at your name tag and say, okay, been working since 2021. Oh, he a little rookie.
Yeah.
I was with Scott Cherry. He's my FTO, first phase, 06. I was his first recruit. And we were somewhere, I think, near Carter Strong Howell Park. And, of course, they know Cherry because every time you have a new if you work anywhere in that type of zone, people know you. Okay, yeah.
And Scott, hey, he a good officer.
Yeah, and you know he got another rookie because they know he always bring people through. So my name tag is say 2006, right?
Yeah.
So they're like, yeah, man, you a little rookie with that, blah blah blah. I'm like, yeah, I'm a rookie to this agency,
right?
But I've been around for a while.
Hey, you wasn't no small dude.
So Chair was like, yeah, man, that guy thought that's like you worked somewhere else, and then came here.
Yeah.
He said, I didn't buy it, but he bought it.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna give you a 5 for today. I was like, I appreciate it. It's just like that, a command press. Like if you just you sit there and just I gotta say it. When you make a decision, stick to it.
Yeah. And
be firm in what you're gonna say. What they said, oh boy, was he's firm and spicy. Put that in the comments for a cap. He's firm and spicy. Hey man, just be firm and fair, man. But like people should know, like if I go to somebody on the street right now with a microphone, hey, tell me about Officer Hill.
Yeah.
It should be all good things.
Right.
It shouldn't be number one. Who is that?
Right. Hey, that's a good point. Because if the people you police every day don't even know who you are, that's a problem.
They shouldn't. And I told that
that's serious.
I told the mayor the former mayor when he wrote me, I said, hey, I said these people are supposed to know who I am. I said this is my zone, this is my area. I said I should be able to. It's zone ownership. I can sit back and tell you, Ms. Williams comes home at 7:00 every day. She has this kind of car and this kind of truck.
She got this amount of kids.
Yeah, if I see something else, another car in that driveway, and her car's on there, what's going on?
Right.
It's zone ownership. I know Mr. So and so. He like to drink when he get off.
Sometimes he can get a little carried away, but he's good people though.
It was an episode of Live PD we went on. They was with me, and this boyfriend girl, they always on the weekends they always drink or whatever. Yeah. So the officers are there, they trying to deal with. And I look up and I was like, oh, that's so and so. And I walk in, I'm like, hey, y'all been drinking a little bit too much again? Yeah, Miller, you know how it is, Miller. I like, can we just separate for the night? We can do that. Yeah. Okay, since you said so, all right. Right. But because we had a relationship, they know, okay, Miller here, everything gonna be right. Right. But and I praised my supervisor. He put in my evaluation. He said Miller is something. I'm paraphrasing. He said something about Miller is a calm in a storm, whatever. If Miller can't get along with him, then nobody can. And I was like, dang man, I appreciate that, Sarge.
The first time your community or people in your community see you shouldn't be when you have to put handcuffs on them, their husband, their kids, a friend. You know what I'm saying? It shouldn't be that. They should already know who you are when you come.
And you shouldn't raise your voice.
Right.
Because I tell people, if you get on scene and you yelling and going on, whatever, when you need to yell to get your point across, it has no teeth, it has no bite to it.
Right.
So I get on saying, hey, what's going on, man? You doing all right? Yeah. I say, hey, I'm gonna let you talk in a second, but okay, let me know when you finish talking.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Hey!
Right.
When you yell, it's like, oh shoot, like where'd that come from? If you come on scene yelling already, it's just like,
right.
Here we go. Another guy with a badge on.
Officers who do that, and I can't speak for every officer, so don't let me sit here and do that. But a lot of times I would imagine is if you come onto a scene, it's either really, really hectic where you have to do that,
right,
or it's frustration coming out of you. You already frustrated. And in reality, you really don't want to show that you're frustrated when you come in onto a scene because that's a sign of weakness.
Because we go through so much, I think a lot of times we have to take a step back.
Yep.
There's been times that I've actually told my sergeant, I was like, hey, I can't work today.
Yeah.
Because whatever I was going through at that time,
right,
I don't want to bleed over into my job and put me in jeopardy and my my teammates. We are teammates. My squad mates in jeopardy.
Yeah.
I need a personal day. I think that's one reason why we have that personal holiday. I say I need to take a personal. I just can't.
You think that's the real reason for it?
I would hope so.
Yeah.
But Miller chapter 2 verse 5, I'm gonna go with that.
Right.
I'm gonna go with it.